everything Landa does, he is a detective. That's first and foremost where he's coming from. He's a detective. And everything he does is some version of an interrogation, and every piece of interrogation is a piece of theater or a mind game with the participant.
How did you come to the attention of one of America's most prominent directors?
Yeah, that's a mystery.
There are great movie openings, and then there's Inglourious Basterds. Tarantino didn't just craft a good scene, he made one of the most suspenseful, meticulously written, and perfectly acted introductions in film history. And the key to it all? Hans Landa. Christoph Waltz's performance as the charming yet terrifying Colonel Hans Landa is the perfect embodiment of psychological warfare. From the very moment he enters that small French farmhouse, he isn't just interrogating. He's playing a game where he already knows the outcome. The tension starts immediately, but Tarantino does something different. He doesn't rely on fast pacing or high energy. Instead, he lets the scene breathe. The camera lingers. The dialogue stretches. And most importantly, Landa takes his time. He's methodical, polite, even charming. Yet there's an underlying menace in every word. At first, it seems like a standard conversation. Landa and Perrier Lapidite, the farmer, exchange pleasantries. Landa compliments his daughters, asks for a glass of milk. But beneath this surface politeness, there's something unsettling. He doesn't just ask about the Dreyfus family, he toys with Pierre, circling around the truth rather than confronting it directly. He's not looking for information. He's watching how Pierre reacts. And then there's the red-headed daughter, a small, seemingly insignificant detail. But Landa doesn't miss a thing. The slight change in her expression when the Dreyfus name is mentioned, the way she stares at the floor when the windows are being shut, it's all he needs. He already knew coming in that the family was hiding Jews, but now he's certain. This is what makes Landa so terrifying. He doesn't just force confessions, he makes his victims walk into them. The long pauses, the exaggerated politeness, the way he controls the room, it's all part of his performance. And when he finally drops the act, switching to English to ensure no one below can understand, it becomes painfully clear. Pierre never had a chance. Tarantino's choice to start the film this way is no accident. It's a masterclass in slow-building tension. And more importantly, it tells us everything we need to know about Landa. He's not a brute, he's not reckless, he's a hunter, and he's just getting started. The real genius of Inglourious Basterds' opening isn't just in its dialogue or performances, it's in how Tarantino weaponizes subtext. Every glance, every pause, every seemingly casual remark from Hans Landa is layered with meaning. He's not just saying things, he's manipulating the conversation like a master puppeteer. One of the most unsettling things about Landa is his ability to appear reasonable. He doesn't burst into the farmhouse with aggression. He doesn't bark orders. Instead, he presents himself as a man of logic, simply doing his job. He compliments Pierre's daughters, acknowledges the farmer's reputation, even reassures him that his cooperation will be met with understanding. But this is all part of the trap. The power dynamic in the scene is fascinating. At first glance, Pierre seems to have control. He's in his own home, on his own land. Yet, from the moment Landa steps inside, he quietly takes that power away. He dictates the pace of the conversation. He controls what's talked about and when. Even something as simple as Pierre offering him a drink is turned into a moment of dominance when Landa insists on milk, a subtle way of asserting himself in the household. And then comes the shift, the moment Landa switches from French to English. This isn't just a stylistic choice or a way to help the audience understand what's being said. It's a strategic move. Landa knows the Dreyfuses are under the floorboards. He knows they don't speak English. So, by switching languages, he ensures that Pierre's family remains unaware of what's being said while eliminating any chance of the hidden family understanding his words. It's a calculated surgical move that strips away any remaining hope that Pierre might have had. By the time Pierre breaks down and confesses, Landa's true nature is fully revealed. He never needed force. He never needed threats. He simply applied pressure in just the right way until Pierre had to give in. And when the soldiers storm the house, there's no sense of triumph, no gloating, just the cold, efficient execution of a man who sees his job as a craft. But what makes this scene even more masterful is the escape of Shosanna. Tarantino could have easily ended the scene with the massacre. Instead, he lets us follow the one survivor, the young girl who will later become one of the film's most pivotal characters. Landa, of course, sees her. He knows he could shoot her, but instead, he lets her go. Not because of mercy, but because he enjoys the game. He enjoys the power of deciding who lives and who dies, and as he mockingly yells, "Au revoir, Shosanna," it's clear, this wasn't just about eliminating a Jewish family. It was about playing the long game. The brilliance of this scene isn't just in its tension, it's in how it establishes Hans Landa as the perfect villain. In cinema, great antagonists aren't just powerful, they're compelling. They believe in what they're doing. They take pride in their work. And most importantly, they enjoy the process. Landa is a detective, a hunter, and a performer all in one. He doesn't just search for Jews. He turns the hunt into a game of psychological warfare. He doesn't need brute force. He doesn't even need to raise his voice. He toys with his prey, luring them into a false sense of security before tightening his grip. And this is where Christoph Waltz delivers a masterclass in acting. His performance is a balancing act. Landa is terrifying, yet oddly charismatic. He's polite, even charming, but in a way that feels deeply unsettling. His exaggerated mannerisms, his deliberate pauses, and his playful smirks all make him feel like someone enjoying the act of destruction. Take the way he smokes his pipe. He doesn't just light it, he performs it. The oversized pipe itself is almost a joke, a subtle way of mocking Pierre without saying a word.
In the script, in the opening scene, when he's interrogating this French farmer, the French farmer takes out a pipe and starts smoking it. And at some point, Landa says, "Hey, can I take out my pipe?" And he goes, "Yes." And he pulls out this big giant calabash, which is the pipe that Sherlock Holmes smokes. And so I wrote that in the script. And then I actually had a couple of more moments where I had Landa take out the pipe and smoke and think. And so it was Landa's pipe. But I started thinking about it more and more as pre-production was going on, and I had dinner with Christoph, and I asked him, I go, "Let me ask you a question. In the script, it implies that this is definitely Landa's pipe, and he uses it to think. But let me ask you a question. What if Landa doesn't smoke a pipe? He knows the farmer smokes a pipe. And so at a certain point, he brings out this pipe. And what pipe does he bring out? He brings out the Sherlock Holmes pipe. One, you can say it's a sexual thing because my pipe is bigger than yours. All right. And the other thing, you can say, I know you're lying and I got you. I've got the Sherlock Holmes pipe. So maybe he doesn't smoke a pipe at all. It's simply just an interrogation technique to throw the farmer, send him more to hell.
And when he takes that long pause before switching to English, the room stops breathing. The shift is so casual, yet it changes the entire atmosphere of the scene. Suddenly, it's not just a conversation, it's a confession booth. And then there's the milk. Landa insisting on milk isn't just a random choice, it's a power move. He's asserting control by drinking what the hidden family drinks. He's subtly reinforcing the idea that he already knows everything. And when he compliments the milk, it's almost like he's savoring his dominance over the entire room. But the real brilliance of this scene is how Tarantino stretches the tension. Most filmmakers would have rushed to the reveal, but Tarantino lets it breathe. Every second is deliberate, every line of dialogue is a calculated move. He lets the audience sit in the discomfort, forcing us to feel the weight of the moment. And then, when the soldiers finally open fire, it's explosive. After nearly 15 minutes of suffocating tension, the violence is sudden and brutal. There's no heroic music, no slow-motion shots, just cold, merciless execution. Yet, even in this moment, Landa remains composed. He doesn't flinch, he doesn't gloat, he simply watches. Because for him, this isn't personal, it's procedure. But the moment he lets Shosanna escape, we realize something crucial. Landa doesn't just follow orders, he enjoys shaping the narrative. He doesn't just kill Jews because he's told to, he chooses how the game is played. And by letting Shosanna live, he sets the stage for something much bigger, a move that, in his mind, makes him the true architect of the story. The opening scene of Inglourious Basterds isn't just a masterclass in tension, it's a statement. It tells us exactly what kind of film we're watching and who we're dealing with. Hans Landa isn't a mindless villain. He's not fueled by rage or ideology, he's fueled by opportunity. He prides himself on his ability to manipulate people, to bend any situation in his favor. And in many ways, He sees himself as the protagonist of his own story. Think about it. Unlike most movie villains, Landa isn't defeated in some epic showdown. He's not taken down by the bastards in a brutal shootout. No, he negotiates his own ending. He switches sides when he realizes the tide is turning, because at his core, Landa isn't loyal to the Nazi cause. He's loyal to himself. That's what makes him so terrifying. He's not motivated by hate. He's motivated by survival. And that's exactly why he lets Shosanna go. Because in his mind, she's not a threat. She's just another pawn in his game. But that's where he underestimates the story. Tarantino plays with expectations in Inglourious Basterds. He gives us a villain who seems invincible, untouchable, only to trap him in his own arrogance. Landa thinks he's won. He thinks he's written his own ending. And then Aldo Rain carves a swastika into his forehead. It's the ultimate poetic justice. Landa spends the entire film crafting his own narrative, rewriting history in his favor. But in the end, he doesn't get to walk away clean. He doesn't get to hide. His crimes are carved into his skin, making sure the world never forgets who he truly is. And that's the brilliance of Inglourious Basterds. It's not just about revenge, it's about rewriting history. The film takes one of the most horrifying figures imaginable, a Nazi detective who plays with people's lives, and makes sure that no matter what, he doesn't get away with it. It all starts in that opening scene, the quiet tension, the mind games, the illusion of control. Landa thinks he's the mastermind, but by the end, he realizes that he was in a Tarantino film all along, and in a Tarantino film, justice always has the final word.